41 Brewhouse here in Whitewater for the UW-Whitewater Quarterback Club and KOOL 106.5 Coaches Show for this Thursday night. A couple of quick reminders. Next Tuesday, that's right, Tuesday night, we'll have a special edition of the Quarterback Club and Coaches Show. That'll be at Sax's, just north of Whitewater on Highway 12, because we'll be playing, or they will be playing football on Thursday night down in Iowa City, or I should say Sioux City in Iowa. Also, normally we will have a copy of this program up on our website at 940wfaw.com. We're in the process of changing websites right now, but we'll hold on to this show and we'll eventually get it up there in case you'd like to listen to it sometime. I'd like to welcome to the Warhawk family the new offensive coordinator, Craig Smith. Craig, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Craig, of course, comes from UW-Whitewater, and Craig, I'm very impressed with the way you called the game on Saturday afternoon. You had a lot of different things to prepare for that first game. Any butterflies going into it for yourself?
Oh yeah, you inherit a lot coming to a program of this stature, and the guys have a certain level of expectation. As much as a coach, you want them to live up to the expectations you have. Now you come to a program where there's a level of expectation that you now need to live up to and be a part of, and it was good that that ball finally kicked off.
Well, you got the game off to a nice start on offense with the running game going, and obviously the mantra around here that everyone's aware of is pound the rock, and it looked like you were comfortable with that, at least in this first week.
Yeah, it was. We're watching their film. They're a 3-3 stack, and their safeties are all of a sudden in the box, and they're out of the box. And Chris and I were trying to figure out who's hot. And one time he throws hot in practice, and he looks at me, and I'm like, I don't know either. And we're standing there, and I'm like, let's just tighten this thing up and go at it. And he was all for it, and away we went.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, and it was really nice to see. Well, obviously, Dennis Moore he's battled some injuries over the last couple of years. Jordan Ratliff has as well, and Nick Patterson. And we talked about this with other coaches before. Once you get a hamstring, you almost have it for life. But boy, it was really great to see him running hard out there, get a couple of touchdowns. He was also back returning some punts when we did have somebody back to return punts and kickoffs as well. That had to make him feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, I mean, there's no mistake when you mention those three guys. There's a common denominator, and that's Nelson Edmonds. I mean, that man can flat out coach. And those running backs are a representation of his philosophies and what he embarks on them, as well as bringing along a freshman who got to score in that game. Another one got snaps. But going back to Pat, when you're a sprinter, those hamstrings can really be hindering. But he works very hard to get back on the field, and he takes those blows, seems year in, year out, and he just keeps trying to come back. And right now, knock on wood, we're feeling pretty good about where he is physically and being in the rotation.
You got a pretty nice group of offensive linemen to work with too. It's a pretty rare luxury to have as many guys as you do with the level of experience they have. That certainly helps that run game too.
Sure. There was a phrase, know your personnel, KYP. Chris always says to me when you throw some jump balls up there, and then I always say KYP, and I point to them and I say, well, let them do what they do very, very well. And I think what can't be overlooked is when we go to two tight ends and you bring in Brent Campbell and his size, I mean, he looks no different than Johnny and some of those offensive linemen. Then our other tight ends, we can continue to add mass and add gaps, and that's problematic when you keep naming those three running backs that you can bring into the picture and keep fresh as well.
Yeah, let's talk about those tight ends, because you had 4 of them rotating throughout the game, plus you also have Kyle Christensen, who was basically your fullback last year, kind of an H-back type of thing. And boy, when you get all of those tight ends in, or at least 3 of them at a time, that's a pretty jumbled package you have out there.
They're big. Tony Gamina is a fantastic athlete. We're going to be able to play some games with him and do some different things. Jordan Grutner came along with an injury to Logan Solano, and also we kind of need him to fit that role. Christian was coming off a hamstring. And all of a sudden, Jordan Grutner, who's a phenomenal high school wrestler and all-state punter, and he'll just run hard into anything. So you kind of add him into that fullback role. There's 5 guys that we feel are WIAC ready. That keeps them in the rotation.
Well, we mentioned that you came from UW-Oshkosh. You played some at UW-Platteville and coached there as well. I asked Rob Erickson last week when he was on the program, given his WIAC pedigree, and you have a similar situation. What do you like best about this league? What attracts you to this Wisconsin conference?
It's the best football in the country at this level, and that, I mean, we're biased saying it, but then you look at the polls and the votes that come in year out, that hold it true. But it's just a level of competition as well as the camaraderie. I got to know Lance a little bit near the end of his career and how cordial he is, and the coaches around the conference, Sean Janelle Point, and just Mike Emmendorfer, who's a mentor of mine, and Pat Cerrone at Oshkosh, who brought me along so much as a young coach. The coaches are fantastic, and how they treat each other, take care of each other. It's just a class act. And it's just so fun to be a part of. And it's great to go out and compete against each other. It's special.
Let's go back to that phrase you were talking about, know your personnel, because I thought, and we were talking about this a few weeks ago, Craig, I thought when you had Nate Ware up at Oshkosh, you really did a great job designing that offense to take advantage of his ability. And he finally graduated too. It seemed like he played for like 7-8 years up there. But I'll tell you, you took advantage of what he could do, not only running the ball, but you had some good receivers as well. You had a hard-nosed running back. And so you've got a lot of different experience, which really helps when you come here because you've got so many different things that you can bring to the table.
Yeah, I mean, you just evaluate, and the system is what it is, but if you don't tweak to your talent and the ability to go out as a college coach and recruit and try to bring in those people you know are going to fit your system, but then when you get unique talents and things that guys can do well, you have to play into that to a certain extent and create those kind of touches for them and put them in situations to be successful, and that just helps everyone get involved and you play to people's strengths. It's just a vital piece of coaching and anything in the business world is play to your strengths, and that's what we're trying to do here right now.
We talked to Kevin about putting together his staff after he got hired here, and he said he asked around to see who other people would pick as an offensive coordinator, and your name came up a couple of times, and he said it was a fairly easy decision to go after and try and hire you. Was it an easy decision to come here, or what attracted you to taking a chance down here at Whitewater?
There's Coach Leipold, obviously Andy Kolnicki was going to be his guy a couple of years ago. He called me as well. He asked my head coach for permission. Everything we do here at Whitewater is done first rate, first class, and coaches' ethics are off the charts. So they made the contact proper in order to contact me. And Coach Leipold did it, and I was recruiting in Chicago at the time, and I got on the phone and I said, Coach, I'll be honest, I'm just not interested. And then when this came about again, and Coach Cerrone told me that Coach was going to contact me and talk to me, there's that old adverb, fool me once, shame on me. You ever fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. So when that second phone call came, I'm like, well, let's rethink this a little bit. And, you know, he's get so loyal to the coaches, but to come work for a guy that, when Coach Erickson and I, who are ex-college players together and friends for all these years, we both got to meet him one-on-one, and we kept our opinions to ourselves until we both had met, and we both said the same things to each other, and it was really an opportunity. Whitewater is Whitewater, but we came to work for Coach Wolfs.
When we've talked a lot about the running backs, of course we had Chris up here to talk about the quarterback. Let's talk about the wide receivers a little bit, because obviously we lost a terrific wide receiver to graduation who's now on the practice squad for the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Wirth battled through some injuries through his career and has really been kind of, well, not only being one of the captains of this team, but also really one of the leaders. But you've got some other guys, Marcus Hudson, who I know had some injuries last year, and there's a couple other guys too, Colton Hergich, who we saw play a little bit last year. You've got some other guys that are stepping up and doing a pretty nice job.
Yeah, these guys are so classy in what they do. I mean, we have Ryan Storto, who, if you guys don't know Ryan, just rewatch the Stag Bowl, and when they throw that screen, great play call, Andy Kolnicki, that screen. But anyway, when they run that screen, all of a sudden there's one block to be made, and Zachy G, who we alluded to earlier, pointed out when we put the screen in spring, that's Ryan. And I'm like, where was Ryan on the depth chart prior to that moment? You know, and same thing, and you go back and watch the Platteville where Jay Coomer was out, and the guys that they rolled into those different positions, and this is just a true next guy up philosophy, and it doesn't matter who's in, you call the play you believe is going to be successful because you know those guys are going to do it right, and Colton Hergich is one of those guys. Adam Capella is coming along. Marcus Hudson is a phenomenal talent who's going to be able to do some special things, and then Joe Wirth is just a technician. That young man can run routes.
Yeah, very good.
In addition to your role as offensive coordinator, you also have quarterbacks coach and recruiting coordinator attached to your job title there. Can you share a little bit about what your duties as the recruiting coordinator are, and can you evaluate how you thought this first winter and spring went?
Sure. We had over this summer already, we had 40 of our graded out players that we believe are young men that can come to Whitewater, make an impact. we've already had them on campus. We have some coming back for this game, X amount already coming up for our Platteville game set. The coaches are hungry to recruit. I mean, we want our name out there, this brand out there, and I think we've done a really good job. Coach Bolus has allowed us, and this was even in the interview process, he was pretty candid about what he wanted recruiting to be and how he thinks there was another level that we could get to in recruiting. And Coach Erickson and I did some recruiting at our previous schools, and we got together, shared some ideas. Coach Bolus sat down with us, we talked through them all, and then we implemented this plan. And Coach Rendell, Kishline, Coach Jacobo's a heck of a recruiter. He's downright a stalker when it comes to the Twitter, Facebook world, but all very legal. Yeah, it's all very but these young coaches are passionate about recruiting. They love the brand they're pushing, and we believe in what we're going out, and it's so much easier to sell when you know you have a product you can believe in, and you can look mom and dad in the face and say, this is what's best for your young man.
And we talked about this a little bit with head coach, that it's an interesting mix on this coaching staff, because you've got an O coordinator coming from Oshkosh, a D coordinator coming from Platteville, a couple of former players, a couple of former All-Americans, I should say, coming back to Whitewater to coach. And it seems like, especially judging by our last weekend that we spent together, some pretty good camaraderie, and everything is kind of blended together pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, again, it comes from Coach Bolus and the atmosphere he created for us. He's not a micromanager, so he allows your personality to be your personality. At one point, I had to walk into his office. I'm like, Coach, if I'm just too loud or talking too much, you can tell me to settle down. He started laughing. He's like, I will. And we just kind of go from there. And I know I get under Coach Erickson's skin, sometimes on purpose, sometimes not. But we have great personalities, and Coach allows us to be us as long as it's in the framework of our blueprint. And it's fun. I love going to work every day. Work is term, but.
Well, despite coming from different cities within the state, the Common Core is that WIAC. How important is it just to have experience either coaching or playing in this league to have success?
And it really helps in the recruiting aspect. And we talked about previous All-Americans, Remington Award winner Brent Allen. I mean, he can evaluate O-line. Time at 2 previous D3 schools have helped his eye and what he's looking for. But at the end of the day, him and Coach Rendell, Sue, they all know what Warhawks are and what they look like and what we're supposed to be going after. And then just that WIAC feel. And that's what, when we rate a guy, it's very simple. Is he WIAC talent? I mean, it's not, is he scholarship? Is he this? Is he a WIAC guy? Because if he is, then we got to go talk to him. We got to recruit him. We got to see if now from there if he's a Warhawk, and kind of break from there. But you're right, it all comes to those WIC ties, knowing, you know, the different schools, their philosophies, what they're looking for in pieces, and then kind of making it fit ours.
Just to follow that up a little bit, Craig, because one of the things I know Whitewater has been very proud of over the years is that the GPA for a lot of the student athletes, not just with football, but with the other sports as well, has always been very, very high. Is that one of the things that you take into consideration as well when you're looking at a prospective athlete on the recruiting trail?
I mean, you can look at this blueprint, and it's very simple. You don't win at this level with 18-year-olds. You develop them into men, and when they get in Chris's age now, a fourth year junior, he knows to go to class every day. He knows what it takes to be successful, and it's that getting them to that point. And what they have established here from Coach Bolus' time as the academic advisor for student athletes, he knows the blueprint to follow. And it's just such a big piece that if you're going to go out and get a young man that you know can't make it in the classroom, then you're going to develop him just for him to eventually leave you. And that's not time well spent. There's young men that are going to make it, going to be successful, and you have to be very cautious on who you're bringing into your program. But again, now that comes from that WIC success that Coach Erickson and I have had different places in understanding those type of student athletes.
All right, very good. Craig, thank you for joining us tonight. Congratulations on your first win as the offensive coordinator, and good luck this weekend. The home opener coming up. Ladies and gentlemen, Craig Smith, the offensive coordinator for UW-Whitewater Warhawks, joining us tonight on the Quarterback Club and Coaches Show. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll hear from head coach Kevin Bullis as we talk about the home opener against Finlandia coming up next here on KOOL 106.5 and online at 940WFAW.com.